Yes, people, yes, people, yes, people. Welcome back to another short video. Today, we've got a big question. There's been a lot of teams competing for the top four this year, but there's also a lot of those same teams are also competing in the FA Cup and other cups across the country. And it's brought up a question that's been really prevalent over social media over the last couple of days. And it's, would you rather, as a club of a stature like West Ham or Everton or Tottenham, would you rather win a trophy or would you rather finish in the top four at the end of the season? What do you think, Quakes?
It's a difficult one. I think that you're in football and you follow football and you're a fan of football for the potential of glory. So from my point of view, again, I'll speak from a privileged position because I've grown up watching my team win quite a lot of trophies. But I feel like the ultimate goal was to, at the end of the season, lift the trophy. So if I was a club in a position where you had to make the choice between the two, I'd always say win the trophy, because what comes with that is a place in the Europa League. So you automatically qualify for Europe anyway, and you get to see your team lift silverware, which ultimately I feel like is a goal in football. So preferably, I'll say win a trophy over top four. But again, it depends on what your goals are and ambitions are as a fan. Well, what would you say on that?
I mean, for me, it's difficult. It's difficult, honestly, because I'll say from a West Ham point of view, and then I'll say from a point of view where I'll try to remove bias. So as a West Ham fan, say, for example, I don't think it will happen, but say, for example, this season we finish in the top four. At the end of the season, obviously that guarantees us Champions League football next year. I don't think the board would necessarily finance enough moves to really strengthen our squad so we could actually mount any sort of challenge in that in the Champions League. Not that I think we'd win it, but like, for example, we would go out in the group stages because I think the board wouldn't take it seriously enough. So that's my West Ham fan point of view. So it would be nice to see us win a cup and then get into the Europa League as opposed to finishing top four, just because I don't really have the faith in the board. And then on the other side of it, obviously as a supporter, you get to see your team win something. So that's that point of view. Whereas from a football fan point of view, say I'm a fan of Tottenham or Everton, for example. I know they haven't won anything for quite a long time, but as a fan of those clubs, you can imagine that. Well, you've seen Tottenham go far in the Champions League. You've seen Everton in the last few years really start to give financial backing into the club. In some of the moves they brought in, you've only got to look at some of the players they've brought in the last window, and now they've got Carlo Ancelotti as their manager. As an Everton fan, I'd be quite excited at the prospect of seeing us going to Europe, so you can compete against the very best and have people like Carlo Ancelotti, being where he belongs. So I think from a football fan, generally, I think you would, like, for clubs like that, I think it would be, I would rather finish in the top four as opposed to, winning an FA Cup or something, because, there's more, I feel like they've got more chance, more expertise to really excel in those, and boards to really help them excel in those competitions.
Yeah, I think also, like, with that as well, off the back of that point, is with the Champions League, you always hear about Champions League football players want to be playing in the Champions League. And if you do secure that as a team of stature of maybe Everton or Spurs, like, you are just naturally going to attract more players. Like, it's a tough one, because if you look at the Harry Kane conundrum, do you think Harry Kane will be more, say Spurs were to win they've gone out now, but say Spurs were to win the FA Cup or like the League Cup, but then finish in the outside of the top four and not play Champions League football, what one do you reckon would be a bigger attraction for Harry Kane to stay? Like, the fact that they've won a trophy and they've got something in the cabinet, or the fact that they're playing Champions League football every season? Which one of those would you reckon would be the biggest factor in maybe keeping someone like Harry Kane at the club?
For someone of Harry Kane's stature, it has to be Champions League football, because he's a player that wants to, play at the highest level. Look, for example, I always bring it back to West Ham, but for example, with Declan Rice, for example, the only way Declan Rice stays at West Ham for the rest of his career is if we start playing at the highest level. If we start sustaining challenges in the highest competitions. I think players that are at the precipice of greatness, like Harry Kane's arguably the best striker in the world at the moment, other than Lewandowski. He's a player that needs to be playing at the very, very top, and you could argue that he's wasted in the Europa League. So if I'm Harry Kane, I've got to make a decision. Do I have a and I don't mean this in any sense of disrespect, but do I have a career like Steven Gerrard where my career is full of nearly maybes? I win a Champions League, but I never really sustain these sort of challenge in the Premier League. And when I do, it falls down. Or do I go to a big club and do like a Frank Lampard, for example, and win multiple things? I think Harry Kane's going to have to come to that decision very soon, really.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's a tough one, isn't it? Because having watched like some West Ham fans, for example, where they still go on about the final that they had, the FA Cup final that they had against Liverpool, where it was one of the best finals we've ever seen. And unfortunately, they came out on the losing side of that. But that's something that they still talk about today, and they didn't even win that. So imagine like winning that competition. Like that would be talked about forever. You could say that you saw your team win a trophy. And where if you look at the history of the FA Cup recently, it's only ever the top 2 or 3 sides in the league that are winning these trophies, whether it's Man City, whether it's Chelsea, whether it's Arsenal. It's always the top sides in this country. So I feel like if you're a fan of a team that's maybe not necessarily challenging for the major honours, and you manage to pull off an FA Cup victory, like something that will be talked about forever. So it's a tough one. It's a difficult one because the top 4's almost become like a trophy now. So it's difficult to kind of decipher what you'd prefer. But from my personal point, go on.
The thing is, as a West Ham fan as well, it's hard to look at this without a biased point of view, because with the board that we have, judging on their actions this season, you can see it's probably quite apparent that they don't want to get Europe, because obviously they haven't financed the club enough in the January transfer window, and we're now going into the rest of the season with, again, a small squad. Both of our strikers, well, one of them being a striker, are now injured, And when in earlier parts of the season, when they were having radio interviews and moaning about being in the Carabao Cup, for example, and it costing a certain amount of money to, play teams like Charlton or Doncaster, for example, when you're bored and making those statements on national radio, then it kind of sets a message, if you know what I mean. It sends a message. So I would, from history, would suggest that the board don't really want Europe. They definitely don't want Europa League, because we don't have a squad big enough to compete on a Thursday and then on a Saturday or a Sunday, So,
yeah,
as a West Ham fan, I would probably rather us win a FA Cup, because it's a chance to break up the monotony of either getting relegated or finishing 15th, 7th.
But then winning the FA Cup then does bring Europa League football automatically, doesn't it?
Yeah, I know. But the thing is, in both instances now, if we finish top 4, then it's Champions League. If we win the FA Cup, then it's Europa League. It's best of both worlds. We, as a fan, I would probably rather see us win something and then compete in Europa League, even though we probably go out in the preliminary qualifying stages again. But yeah, it's a difficult one. I think you can ask 10 football fans, and I think they all have a different answer. I can only really speak from a West Ham point of view, and my personal point of view would be that I'd rather see us win something and then compete in Europe. But I think we have a board that is, I don't want to say anti-ambitious, but you can see that I wouldn't be surprised if they were happy just to maintain Premier League status as opposed to doing either. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I think it's an interesting one. I think it's one that we can leave to the listeners and the viewers in terms of what you'd rather prefer, winning a trophy or finishing in the top 4. And it's an interesting debate. I don't think there's really a right or wrong answer. It's just that it depends on your preference and where your club's at in terms of status.
Oh, for sure. Because it's a hard question to ask you when, you're spoiled for trophies. You go to the Chelsea Museum, you'll be there for a long time because there's plenty of stuff to look at. Whereas West Ham's, in recent history, unfortunately, there just isn't as much. Do you know what I mean? So someone like me is going to have a completely different outlook on it than you.
Yeah, 100%.
I suppose I was going to say, Everton fans, Tottenham fans, Wolves fans, Leicester fans, what do you think about this kind of thing? Would you rather see your side finish in the top 4, or would you rather, win an FA Cup, win a Carabao Cup, and then mount a challenge in the Europa League? Let us know in the comments.
Nice one, guys. Make sure you like and subscribe to the video as well, and we'll be back tomorrow with more videos.
Sick.
Nice one.